Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for June 6, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Svaransky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Right Side VP. Let's get right to it here. The Raptors, Teddy, easily dispatch of those wounded Warriors. Durant and Thompson watch is now official for Friday. And as of taping right now, Teddy, we got the word probable is now the tag for Klay Thompson moving forward. But let's get to the hot topics of the day. Steph Curry drops 47 points in the Game 3 loss. You figure if you get a half 100, Teddy, you're going to be in some pretty good shape. Not so. And it looks like Andre Iguodala, 11 points in that game. Needed him to step up a little bit more. But let's talk about Toronto here, Teddy. Pascal Siakam led the way with a plus 22 on Wednesday night. Kawhi Leonard seemed like a quiet 30 points, was able to get it done. As we said, Curry drops the 47. Draymond gets 17. Wasn't enough, Teddy, and we saw that line drop heading towards game time when it was apparent Klay Thompson was sitting this one out.
Yeah, the books took a bath on this game. Unfortunately, I took a bath on this game as well. And it wasn't even a game. I mean, the game was absolutely over in the first quarter. Toronto came out, took control, hit shots. Golden State was playing from behind. They made a little flurry before halftime to make things, potentially interesting in the second half. But the Raptors controlled that game start to finish. And frankly, Golden State looked like last year's Cavs last night, which is a team that wasn't the team that we normally see. A team that's banged up beyond belief. It was like Curry and the Seven Dwarfs. It was a bunch of guys that weren't used to playing with one another, and it showed. It really did. But Toronto, Golden State played poorly with the exception of Curry. Toronto played great. Every Raptor starter had, 17 plus last night. And when everybody plays good for Toronto and nobody plays good for Golden State, you're going to see a wire-to-wire blowout. That's what we saw last night for the Raptors, a team that clearly doesn't have any confidence issues facing the three-time champs.
Yeah, it looks like, and it's funny too, because you go into that basketball game there, obviously it's game 3, it's on their home court, but I felt like the pressure was on Toronto because they had to win this game with all the injuries. They come up big. We'll see on game 4, as we see an early spread, which we'll talk about a little bit later, favored by 5.5, those Warriors are, with an over-under set at 216, which also, Teddy, crashed down last night. But before we get to the next topic here, let's talk a little cheddar here, Teddy. Here's what we do at sportsbookreview.com and That Betting Show. Join up with Bovada because you know what? The final of the Triple Count race is on Saturday, and they are giving you a welcome bonus of up to 50%, Teddy, matching up to $250 with Bovada. Just use the code BOVBSS20. Teddy, we love this stuff, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the truth, all right? This show is free. It will be free. It will be free forever, every day. You guys can watch it, get info. All we ask you to do, pay attention to our sponsors. When Bovada gives us a special offer, it helps us keep this show free for you on the air every day if you guys sign up. So you talk about a welcome bonus for up to $250. You get something for nothing, just like you do here on That Betting Show. Appreciate you guys taking advantage of these special offers.
Absolutely. And tomorrow is Friday. Obviously, we're going to set you up for the final Triple Crown race there at the Belmont tomorrow. So tune into That Betting Show. But let's talk a little bit of Major League Baseball. Now, Teddy, I've been practicing this all morning. A song from the early 80s. Sailing takes me away. Did I do all right, Teddy?
So it made me angry when I saw this. I'm looking at the notes pre-show because I'm like, now that stupid song's going to be in my head, and God knows how long it's going to be in my head for. Thanks. I appreciate that. Please sing it again. Oh, my God.
Look at that. Me and Ted are old folks compared to most people watching this show. And there you go. You got a little bit of language there. You got a little bit of talk from Teddy. So we'll have that for the rest of the show. But Sale back on track, Teddy, after a first rough start to the month. Chris Sale tosses a complete game shutout 3-hitter. How about this, Teddy? 6 of his last 7 starts, 3 runs or less, including 2 shutouts. Sale is back to ace form. That's good news for those Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox are enjoying this step down in class against Kansas City after they faced the Astros, Indians, and Yankees in their 3 previous series. Last night's game wasn't a contest. But here's my question for you. An immaculate inning, 9 pitches, 9 strikes, strike them out. I always feel like an immaculate inning should be 3 pitches, 3 outs, inning over. But Sale nonetheless gets his immaculate inning with consecutive strikeouts in the 8th, mind you. That was an impressive showing, but of course it came against a Kansas City team that right now can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag.
Teddy, what are the odds here since we're talking about gambling? How about the immaculate game? Can we get away with 27 pitches and a complete game shutout? Is that possible?
I think it's possible. I don't think it's been done, however, in the history of MLB. But, hey, they're due, right?
Absolutely. Hey, Teddy, old dog, new tricks here. Now, this is what makes gambling on baseball or trying to figure out the numbers so maddening. And if the numbers were always right for us, Teddy, we'd all be millionaires to be nowhere to place any wagers. How about Mike Leake last night? A complete game allowing only one run versus the hot bats of the Houston Astros. 119 pitches, Teddy, for the veteran as he breezed through that lineup, scattering only 6 hits in those 9 innings. Mariners bats came alive and dotted up a really good Astros bullpen for 12 runs. Baseball, it's the summer. Get used to some of these ones.
Yeah, all that being said, I mean, the Mariners are now 13-37 in their last 50 games after last night's win. And Leake, after throwing 119 pitches last night, sure looks like a bet against hurler in his next start. I don't know that Leake is going to be able to match that effort at any point for the remainder of the season. He's good for a good start every now and again, but I will not trust him. Circle that game with Leake and the Mariners next time out. Off 119 pitch effort, he may well be a clear bet against.
Yeah, one of those things that I like to look at that as well. When you have the complete games, you have the no-hitters, you extend yourself. You know, even though you're getting that full 5 days rest, sometimes a little bit taxing. You do get shelled in that next outing. We'll see what takes place there. How about setting you up for that NFL season? We're not that far away. Right on, 90, 91 days until the opener? Take a look today. One of the teams that we've all been waiting for, one of those lightning rod teams in the NFL, Teddy. Your 2019 NFL season team preview right here on That Betting Show today. Those Cleveland Browns. How about this? Now, I had to do a double check, honestly, Teddy, when I saw this. The Browns, 14-1 to win the 2019 championship. 7-1 to win the AFC, and a team total of 9.5. So basically, you're going to have to get double digits in order to cash this ticket for them. They finished up last year 7-8-1 on the season, going 3-2-1 in the AFC North. Expectations, as we said, Teddy, sky high. Baker Mayfield comes in replacement of Tyrod Taylor this year, plays well down the stretch. They go 5-2 over their last 7 games. You have extra ammunition here. You got mouths to feed over there. Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry. You got a nice wide receiving core, a lot of talented running backs, and after 8 games, you're going to get an all-pro caliber player back in your backfield for Kareem Hunt. All the talent is there. Young head football coach, very high expectations. Teddy, how are we going to handle this year with the Cleveland Browns?
The way we're going to handle it is we're going to start by looking at last year and see what really happened a season ago when Cleveland had their best record in quite some time with a 7-8-1 mark. Now, remember, they had 4 losses by a field goal or less. 2 of them came in overtime. They had a tie. This team could have been 12-4 last year. And we might be talking about Cleveland a little differently right now. They were plus 0.2 yards per play, so they outgained their opponents on a yards per play basis. They were minus 0.1 yards per rush, basically neutral. Baker Mayfield, as a rookie, a 93.7 QB rating. Opposing QBs, only 83.4. Solid pass defense last year. Plus 7 in turnovers. That's something we haven't seen from the Browns in a while. And it's definitely worth noting. Last year, Cleveland, a tougher than average schedule, notably tougher than average schedule. The division was tough. This year, on paper, based on this year's season win total, their schedule is well below the league average. It's a substantial drop-off. So it is a team that is facing a weaker slate than last year. And basically, when you're talking about the moves they made this offseason, these are all win-now moves. They're going all in. You get Odell Beckham? Yeah, that's a win-now move. All right, bringing Oliver Vernon and Sheldon Richardson on the defensive line, win-now moves. Kareem Hunt to an incredibly talented running back group, win-now move. Morgan Burnett. There's some losses. But you find me a weakness on this team. Their offensive line is good. Their skill position is good. Their defensive line is good. Their pass rush is good. Man, you look at everything that Cleveland did. Secondary, phenomenal. Baker Mayfield's the question here. If Baker Mayfield lives up to the promise he showed last year, the sky is the limit for the Cleveland Browns. And I'm telling you, there's at least some wise guy resistance here in Vegas. They're looking at Cleveland. Oh, they're a public team. Oh, the public likes the Browns. I'm telling you look at this squad on paper. They're as good as anybody this side of New England in the AFC. I'm a Browns believer going into the campaign. If Freddie Kitchens can handle these personalities. Not going to be easy in that regard, but from a talent standpoint, Cleveland is the most talented team in this division, and frankly, it's not even that close.
It's good that you brought that up, Teddy, because I did want to ask you a quick question. When we're dating back, forget about last year where they did end up picking up 7 wins. The previous 2 years, wise guys, it was a favorite bet to play on the Cleveland Browns. They weren't really turning profits back, but now it seems like that tide has turned. So backing off your question with the wise guys, quote unquote, in Las Vegas, what are we looking at here when we're talking about the Browns this year, is there, like, I always like to say, equate it's like the Yankee tax, Teddy, where, maybe the game's 150, but it's 155 because the New York money's going to pile in and they want to, tax it a little bit. Is that the case for the Browns this year? Like, what's an optimistic approach, or what are the wise guys looking at with the Browns? Optimistic, or saying, you know what, as you just said, maybe a little bit too public for them this year?
From a future standpoint, it's going to be difficult with Cleveland. I'm not betting on Cleveland to win the AFC or to win the Super Bowl. When it comes to stuff like winning the division, I already have a Browns ticket to win the division in my pocket. I think they're alive to do that. And the wise guys, it's all about value versus talent, let's say. They know the talent's there on Cleveland, but they don't think the value's there on Cleveland. They're not going to be a popular wise guy choice this year in the NFL because the public's all over them. So you're not getting that extra point and a half of value. But to see Cleveland overpriced on a week-in, week-out basis, depends on how good they are. If they're as good as I think they're going to be, might be underpriced. And the wise guys will be behind. And the public, as always, every October, the public's ahead of the wise guys in the NFL because they realize, hey, this team's good and this team's not good. And the wise guys are like, but look at the statistical profiles. And no surprise here if Cleveland ends up being a value team at that stage of the season, especially if they get off to a mediocre start.
And it's going to be interesting, too, because obviously with that 9.5 or 10 that we're looking at that team total range, the Browns are going to be favored in a majority of their games. It's hard to fathom that, Teddy, but we'll see what takes place tomorrow. We'll preview yet another team in the AFC. Let's get to some overnight line movers, SBRodds.com, the best place on the internet to check those line moves. As we know, they're always moving some of these games as well. Didn't talk about it earlier in the show, Teddy. Let's dig in a little bit here. NBA opening lines on the finals game number 4 in Oakland tomorrow night. Again, we see similar opening here, Teddy. -5.5. Total's a little bit higher here at 216 with the money line split of +190, -230. Surprising for you there, and about what you expected on that?
No, I'm not surprised because this, in theory, is supposed to be the Warriors' bounce-back spot, and the markets are pricing that. And look, from all indications, Klay's going to play in this game, and a Warriors team with Klay Thompson on the floor is likely to look a whole lot different than one without him. They were lost without him last night. But KD, very questionable. In my mind, this game is a lot more about Toronto than it is about Golden State. Do the Raptors have that go-for-the-kill mentality off a road win? They did win back-to-backs, game 3 and 4 in Orlando, going that series 1-1. Of course, I would say the Warriors are a different animal than the Magic. They only had one win in the Philly series, got a win and then lost. Only one win in the Milwaukee series on the road. So it's not like they have I don't know if the Raptors have that go for the kill mentality. If they do, there was no question who the team was last night. And the Warriors looked very out of sync, and I'm concerned about that moving forward. Note the total a notch or two higher. Last night, everyone was saying, oh, no, Klay, the Warriors' offense is going to suffer. Well, their defense suffered every bit as much. Toronto had open looks all night long. And the markets for the total certainly reflecting that.
Yeah, really good point on that, Teddy, with the defense of Klay Thompson. That's what we talked about yesterday. Just because that hamstring, hey, forget about shooting the three-pointers. He's an elite-level defender. We'll see if that carries over. Tomorrow, big show. Obviously, we're going to have the Belmont we're going to talk about and also the NBA Finals Game 4. How about some runs in Texas, Teddy? How about the ebbs and flows here? 23 runs one night, 3 the next night. Now we have a total set at 11 today with Hess and Gerardo. And let's talk about that Lone Star State, Teddy. Seeing that wind blowing out 10 miles an hour, 90 degrees at first pitch. Woo! Load up those bats, Teddy.
Yeah, sure. And, of course, the way, we say there were 23 runs scored in the one game and 3 in the next, but the way they went down. Texas, 6 runs in the bottom of the ninth to almost steal game 1 against this beleaguered Orioles bullpen. And then last night's game goes into extra innings, and Texas again scores in extra innings with a pair of runs to win the ball game. That's an issue when you talk about Baltimore's bullpen, especially with David Hess starting. Hess, 7 runs allowed in 4 innings against the Giants. Giants can't hit can't hit their way to a wet paper bag. You're bombed by the Giants. He hasn't won a game since April 1st. One start against the Rangers last August, gave up 7 runs in 3 1/3. Hess, no strikeouts, no ground ball outs. Those are ugly numbers. The markets are really looking to fade him every time he goes to the hill. And, of course, considering the state of the bullpen behind him and the Rangers' bullpen behind him, I'm not surprised at all that this game has seen over money and early betting action.
Definitely hitting weather down there in Texas. Let's take a look at the markets. Opening for the Astros is a huge favorite. Looking in a bounce-back mode, you got your ace on the mound, Jason Verlander, and looks like Justin Verlander. Stros open up 215, around 200 in that range. Still sitting around it, so not a lot of movement. We're still going to get a 2-1 favorite here on the road. Total of 8, Verlander versus Malone.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a little bit of money coming in against Houston in this ballgame, despite the fact the Astros 5-1 after the last 6 losses. Why are they coming on the Astros today? Well, Tommy Malone, he's notching strikeouts, and they love the pitchers that get strikeouts, although he didn't need 96 pitches to go just 4 1/3 against L.A. in his last outing. Worth noting, Verlander's numbers not sustainable, okay? He's got a low ground ball rate. That's a concern for the betting markets. He has a 95% strand rate. That's not going to last. He has a 161 BABIP, batting average on balls in play. That obviously is long past due for correction. So we're seeing some of the anti-Astros money coming against Verlander, who's put up some numbers that are, quite frankly, unsustainable over the course of a long season.
We were talking about injuries, Teddy, in the NBA Finals. There's some injury questions here in the Stanley Cup Finals. Basically down to a best of 3. Boston with a home game tonight. Game 5. Bruins favored -147 with a total of 5.5. Heavy juice to that under at 5.5. And if we take a look here, Zdeno Chara, questionable coming. There was some reports coming out that he was going to sit out the rest of the series. There was film that came out that he did take the ice and practice. But, you could skate with a broken jaw. Not to say that you could take a check with a moving defender coming after you. So we'll see what happens in that spot. But here's the interesting part, Teddy. We have a best of 3. Obviously, Boston has home ice. Bruins favored by -147. But if we take a look at the series, the Blues are only +125 with the Bruins -150. So interesting finish here. And as we said, if a goalie can get hot, he can steal the series. Best of 3 right here, Teddy.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if St. Louis wins tonight, Boston's obviously in big trouble with the game going back to St. Louis for Game 6. So the pressure is on Boston tonight. And obviously when we talk about an impact injury in Chara, we don't know exactly what the situation is. But even if he plays, I'm not convinced he's going to be at or near 100%. This has been a weird series in the sense that the better teams won every game. That doesn't usually happen in hockey. There's a fair bit of randomness, but this hasn't been one of those series. The team that's dominated the forechecking and dominated the shots on goal has been able to win. St. Louis was able to do that in Game 4, and they're able to stay out of the penalty box, which is something that we talked about. First time in the series that they only had less than 4 power plays, and the first time they didn't take at least 2 penalties in the first period. Forward Jaden Schwartz. We learned our lessons enough time not to be giving them 4 or 5 power plays a game. That's just something we touched on. We did a good job of that throughout the playoffs. I think it's the first few games we got to lay away a little bit from that. It's something that you want to pay attention to. Worth noting, Blues on the road, 6-0 in the postseason when trailing or tied in a series. That's excluding Game 1s. That is something worth noting as they go back to Boston tonight with a little bit of momentum.
Teddy, burn the obituaries here. The Indians are trying for the sweep. Let's load up. Let's get those future tickets going. We're moving in the right direction. Well, still got to do it on the field here. Twins and the Indians. Indians, however, favored slightly here to -112, total of 8.5. 40-20 on the season for the Twins. The Indians 31-30. Barrios and Bauer. Good matchup today. Boy, it would. And look, sometimes you're still a long ways back when we take a look at what the Cleveland Indians have to make up. But it does start with a sweep. Maybe you can get some momentum. We'll see what happens here.
Sure. And again, it's the first week of June. So there's time for teams to make up ground if the Indians are capable of doing so. And certainly this has been as well as they played in any series this year, the first 2 games. Yesterday took advantage of a bullpen game and took advantage of the Twins bullpen on the other end and won that game 9-7. But it's worth noting how good Minnesota's been off a loss or a couple of losses. They haven't lost 3 games in a row all season. They haven't been swept anywhere all season. So if you're betting on the Indians today, you're betting on something that hasn't happened for Minnesota yet this year. And Rocco Baldelli doesn't seem too concerned. To this point in the year, I haven't seen our guys come back from any of these games, whether we win or lose, with any kind of a different energy or anything like that. So not all that worried about the start to the series. Bauer's 0-4 in his last 6 starts. He got bombed by the White Sox last Friday. He doesn't have a great track record against the Twins, although he did pitch well against them back in March in the season debut. But Barrios, man, he's shown vulnerability in recent games. 16 runs allowed his last 4 starts after allowing just 15 in his first 8 starts. But the Twins keep winning for him, 10-2 in his last 12. And I talked about how he's been hit harder in the last 4. Minnesota's still 3-1 in those ball games, despite the fact that Barrios hasn't been quite as sharp.
We'll see if we can get some hits tonight in Petco Park. He's got 2 pretty good lefties here on the mound between the Nationals and the Padres. Relative pick'em here. Padres favored -106, total of 7.5 showing up here at SBRodds.com. Tonight, it's going to take place on the West Coast, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. MLB Extra Innings live from Petco. Nationals are 28-33 on the season and 31-31 for those Padres. Corbin versus Lucchesi. 2 really good lefties, Teddy. Let's see if those – now, look, the Nationals' bats do tend to hit lefty pitchers. We'll see if it happens tonight. Walk-off, as we know, for the Nationals, now flying coast to coast. And the Padres, as we know, dropped 2 of 3 to the Philadelphia Phillies, looking to bounce back. Good one tonight to end the night, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, the Padres fall back to 500 with the loss yesterday. Now a sub-500 team at home. And this National squad, they're hot. 9-2 of the last 11 ball games. We talked about Washington and all the injuries they suffered early. Well, their lineup's gotten much healthier in recent weeks, and it's really paid dividends. If you've been a National supporter, you've enjoyed the last couple of weeks. Of course, Lucchesi is bet on all the way. I mean, he's really good. His last 4 starts have been dynamite. Andy Green, quote, the difference with Joey, he had struggled in April. The difference with Joey in his recent starts has been strike one. He has good stuff. He has deception with his delivery. When he gets in the count, it plays. Recently, he's been more aggressive with his first pitch. Corbin, 2 starts ago, had a complete game shutout, his highest pitch count of the year. And then last start, he didn't make it out of the 3rd. Gave up 11 hits and 8 runs. After the game, quote, I've been using the sinker more. I don't think we missed once in the middle of the plate. And we started getting more early outs. That was after his shutout. Last time out, not so many comments from Corbin, even though the Nats right now are a team I'm not looking to bet against.
Quick off-the-mic point here today, Teddy, to end the show. As we say, no wonder Le'Veon Bell missed the offseason with the New York Jets. When you have over $500,000 in jewelry in your house, women carousing around the house, you got to protect the jewels, Teddy. So he stayed home in South Florida, goes for a workout, comes back home. The jewels are missing. Now he finally reports to camp. And I like to say, it's a good thing, Teddy, that you got $52 million probably coming to you here in the NFL. You can get another $500,000 in jewelry, no problem.
Yeah, but you lose $500,000 in jewelry when your girlfriend's let's say with the quote, his closet was in disarray, all his jewelry was missing, including 2 gold chains with diamonds, a Black Panther pendant with black and white diamonds, and a Rolex watch. Sucks. Find better girlfriends. End of story.
Yeah, Teddy, or how about just have maybe one girlfriend, maybe they won't get jealous, and they both say, at least we're going to get something out of this relationship. Well, that's just going to be the way it is, and that's that betting show today for June 6, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. Once again, he's Teddy Savransky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Rightside VP. Big Friday tomorrow. Belmont on Saturday. NBA Finals Game 4. Join us tomorrow. Good luck on your tickets tonight, and we'll catch you later.